Finally, I'd really like to take a moment and thank the wonderful faculty you're about to meet for keeping the arts alive and well over the past few years. I've had the pleasure of seeing firsthand their creative and committed approach to making their art possible, even at the height of our restrictions. While art is at its most beautiful when shared, the faculty here have worked diligently behind closed doors to keep our students' skills sharp and passions alive. So when the theater spaces and gallery spaces have opened, they've had their students ready to share. At this time, I'd love to introduce our performing arts faculty, led by the chair of the department, Julia Ohm.
Good evening. I'm so happy to be with you tonight to share what we do here at Cushing. Our program offers classes during the day for academic credit, as well as performance venues in the afternoon, which are activity options. We do 3 main stage shows a year in theater, a comedy usually in the fall, a musical in the winter, and an experimental offering or a non-traditional piece in the spring. Many of our classes can be offered as private lessons, and participation in the musical qualifies as a sports commitment. I think what really sets us apart from other schools is our unique combination of a focus on arts education, accompanied with professional expectations and training. We're not a high school for performing arts, but we're certainly ready and able to teach those that want to study the arts in college, as well as those students who are beginners and are simply trying something out for credit. My training is from NYU Tisch School of the Arts. I'm always happy to say I have 3 useless degrees if my students want to justify their study in the arts: acting, directing, dramatic writing, romantic poetry, and a graduate degree in educational theater, also from NYU. This is my 15th year here at Cushing, but Desh Hindle and I have actually been working together for over 20 years, as we met at another school in Princeton, New Jersey, and then I followed him here. We have a great team. We are blessed to have 2 dancers, choreographers, a jazz band director, as well as a separate instructor for film, along with many adjunct teachers for music, vocal, and instrumental. But I'll let Desh describe that in greater detail. It's nice to be with you all.
Thanks, Julia, and welcome to everybody. Glad to see you here. So I'll give you a quick rundown on what Cushing's offerings are in the music area. And then if you want to know more about anything else later, or you didn't hear something that you'd like to ask about, you're welcome to do that. First of all, I would just like to say that our music program has entry points for students in every area at any level. So whether you just want to try something new that you've never done before, or if you've been playing an instrument since you were a toddler and this is what you do, we have something for you. We have lessons in voice and all instruments that you can imagine, and they can earn you academic credit here. Our primary ensembles are a mixed voice choir, a classical chamber music program. Chamber music is simply small classical ensembles that could fit in your living room. So think trios, quartets, quintets, that kind of thing. And then we have a jazz ensemble as well. And we offer adjunct courses such as jazz history, music theory, which basically involves harmony and composition and that sort of thing. And finally, we have students who choose to go further in an area. If we don't offer a class in it, then we simply do an independent study. So we find a lot of ways to help students with what they need. So that in a nutshell is the basics of what we offer in our music program. And I think I'm turning it over now to Eddie Buggy to talk about our dance program. Is that right, Eddie?
Sure. Sorry, I'm reading myself here. How are you doing? My name is Eddie Buggy. This is actually my first year here at Cushing. Very excited to talk and meet with you all and talk about dance here, a passion of mine. Right now we have 2 levels of dance, as Julia mentioned, during the day, the academic day, and then we have dance activities in the fall trimester, and within the spring. We have performances in November and then again in April towards the end of our semester there in spring. My primary focus is around technique during the day. My background is I'm a Juilliard grad. I've done ballet, modern, hip hop, capoeira, all of those things combined within my career. I was very lucky to have danced with a number of dance companies and toured all over the world. And so I try and bring that into the studio, as well as working on students, allowing them to have their own choreography. And we are on occasion are watching a lot and talking a lot about our wonderful dance pioneers in the field. I would say also looking, as I am here longer, really looking to find friends and different things that we can bring in some repertory from other choreographers. And we do have also private lessons that we can find teachers. I have one of my friends who does ballet on the weekends. So really looking forward to hearing your questions and hopefully meeting you all. And I am turning us over to Ms. Salvucci, possibly. Wonderful.
Thank you, Mr. Buggy. I'm Michelle Salvucci. This is my 24th year here at Cushing. I've done a number of things here. My day job is I teach science, but my heart home is in the dance studio. I started dancing when I was a little person, as many of you all in the performing arts probably did as well. So I was maybe in first or second grade and danced all the way until I graduated high school. And then in college went on to do much more musical theater. And so that's sort of where I cut my teeth on creating choreography and really thinking about how to tell a story with the music that's provided for the musical. And that is my primary function here. So I work with Ms. Ohm and Mr. Hindle to really craft that story and help our actors move in ways that make them feel confident and beautiful and strong, and in ways that tell the story of the musical that we're doing for that particular season. And we run the gamut from everything from my favorite of all time, West Side Story, to sort of more experimental, more contemporary pieces. So I would love to answer any questions you have about performing in the musical. Thanks. And I think, Ms. Catlin, it's back to you. Am I correct?
Yes, and we're just going to now turn it over to our visual arts faculty on the panel and allow them to introduce themselves, starting off with our chair of the department, Deb Gardner.
Every time. Anyway, hello and welcome. Now I've got something on my screen. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I'm Deb Gardner, and I have been here at Cushing for, this is my 17th year, working for the visual arts department. And it has just been, for me, a wonderful experience to work with all the talent and all the hardworking students that come through our visual arts department. I hope you've seen some images of our really wonderful facility and our really professionally filled out studios. I've had some questions about what the classes are that we teach, which I'll talk about in a minute, but each one is really just a professional would just be delighted to work in these studios. We have a lot of students who do go on to be professional artists, but I think one of the most wonderful things about our whole program is that you don't have to be someone who wants to be a professional artist to get a really full, wonderful experience from the classes that we teach. We teach people who come in with a lot of experience. We teach kids who don't have much experience doing any at all. And we just really love to take you from where you are and just help you to grow and get better and be really fulfilled. I'm just going to do a rundown of the classes that we reliably have. We sometimes are fortunate enough to add some extras that are a lot of fun, depending on who's on the faculty and what their expertise is. But in general, you can count on us having beginning drawing and painting, advanced drawing and painting, advanced art portfolio, and that is a class that's specifically for students who want to prepare a portfolio for college. We have ceramics and advanced ceramics. We have photography and advanced photography. We have stained infused glass. We have architecture. We have art history. And I hope I didn't leave anything out, but I might have, because we really have quite a few offerings. I guess that's kind of, I'm going to welcome any questions that you might have for particulars about all of those. But I think for now, I'm going to pass this on to Ms. Eschenbach, who is the advanced portfolio instructor and just is a wealth of knowledge.
Hi, everyone. My name is Janine Eschenbach. This is my 5th year at Cushing. I started in another role here, only teaching a tiny bit of art, but my heart lies in the creative classroom. So I am fortunate enough to be full on in that space. One of the things that I, again, admired most about Cushing was the space. That is the thing that people say the most about when they come to visit campus. It is just spectacular. The sun, we have people who walk into the gallery and it's just this beautiful space of light and sun. And it's such a welcoming, creative space. So I am fortunate every single day to have that be my office, technically. In terms of my background, I went to Tufts and got my BFA and MFA there. I am a serial medium person. I love all sorts of different things. Right now I'm very into painting and ceramics, but that could change next week. I do teach the advanced portfolio class, which Ms. Gardner mentioned is very focused on creating a portfolio either for college or a portfolio for another program. We do have some slightly younger students who are interested in going to a summer program, say at Carnegie Mellon for design, and you need to submit a portfolio to be admitted to that. So we do focus on portfolios of different kinds. This year we had a variety of interests in terms of college, some very focused art schools, other fantastic liberal arts schools, and they wanted to add their beautiful creative artwork to their application. We had 17 portfolios submitted this year, which is fantastic. And the breadth of work was anything from architecture to some conceptual photos to game design. We have a very big group who is very into game design. And then just some beautiful, beautiful painters. And I would be happy to answer other questions about that process when we get to that point. And I don't know who I'm handing it off to next. Ms. Catlin, back to you.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and go and open up and show the rest of our crew. And we have 3 wonderful students with us, and they are going to introduce themselves, what year they are at Cushing, and the different art programs that they've been involved with, and talk just a little bit about what that experience has been to them. And then at the conclusion, we'll start to go into some questions. Please feel free to enter them into the Q&A button yourself. And we also have the ones that you sent ahead as well. So we'll work through those. So I would love to kick it off to Mr. Will Lassard. Are you ready to go, sir?
I am. Hi, I'm William Lassard. I'm a 4-year senior. I'm from Townsend, Massachusetts. And for the past 4 years, I've been fully involved with the theater program, including classes and musicals and plays.
Matisse, why don't you take it away?
Hi, my name is Matisse Shetton-Burgess, and I am a senior from California. And I have been so lucky the past 3 years to be a part of the dance program at Cushing. And this year is my first year trying ceramics after school. Welcome.
Ty, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. I'm a 4-year senior and I'm from Nanjing, China. And as a 4-year senior, I also fully participated in art portfolio for 4 years straight. And I have tried model smithing for a class and for afternoon activity. So, it's a place for you to try everything new.
Wonderful. Thank you to our students for joining us and our wonderful faculty for giving us a great overview of the program. What we're going to do now is I'm going to go first to the questions that we received. And if you have more, please feel free to send them our way. We'd like to just hear a little bit more about some of the things. So look at the questions we got ahead of time. Mr. Buggy and Matisse, could you maybe talk a little bit more about the details of the dance program? Do you get to perform? If you're in a class, do you do it after school? What's the flexibility with being involved in dance and other activities?
Sure. Do you want to start, Matisse, since you've been here, and then I'll just.
Yep, sure. So I think the dance program is really flexible, and it honestly allows you to sort of incorporate it into whatever part of your day is possible. There are 2 performances per year. There's one in the fall and then one in the spring. And so you can do it during the day as an afternoon, as an academic class, and you can also do it as an afternoon activity. You could do both or just one or the other, and really whatever fits your purpose.
And I would say, going off that, Matisse also choreographed a wonderful piece for our November concert. So one of the things is that really within the whole program, we have our technique classes, like we said, during the day, and activities. Some people take both. Everyone is allowed to perform. I'm really always excited about what our students want to do and really support that. I think it's really a wonderful growth opportunity. We also get to, do some choreography trials within our academic, our technique classes. Our technique classes, just to let you know, are really, I'm contemporary modern. I do some ballet technique within there, and some hip hop, some capoeira, some K-pop, which I'm learning more of. It's really open to the students that are there, but I have a firm belief that technique in general helps every complete dance form that you're doing, because it's there. Once you have that, you can leave from that and do everything. But
Wonderful. Thank you.
Can I jump in for 1 second on that?
Yes, absolutely.
I just wanted to say, a lot of times kids get nervous about trying out for the musical. Maybe they think of themselves as a singer or an actor, but they've never danced before. And it's a really great opportunity, because just like Mr. Buggy said, with the technique classes and with the after school program, everyone gets to dance, everyone gets featured. Our choreography is based in ballet and jazz primarily, but also just the musical theater tradition. So there's a place for everyone. So I would encourage everybody to give it a shot when you get here.
and I'll just echo that. So Matisse was one of my dancers who's been here for 3 years. She's been dancing for a long time, very strong. She was in my activities class with people that had just started dancing. Activities in the afternoon is fun, I hope. And it's really just about enjoying. I do warm-ups and technique a little bit to help into all that. Then we really get into just having fun and learning movement, and everybody will be on stage, yes.
Wonderful. This question is for our visual arts side. There's a question about the photography, and I think this is just a general question. So as you enter the program, is it just basic photography, or how does your program grow with the artist, or run with that a little bit?
We have sort of all levels of photography. We have our basic photography class, sort of photography 1, where students are exposed to everything: traditional darkroom practices, alternative processing techniques, DSLR cameras, iPhone photography using special lenses. We focus a lot on the art and the composition behind photography, as well as the technique of a camera and how to process film and all those things. So you're getting a really strong lesson as an artist in terms of how to shoot a really uncluttered photo, how to shoot a photo that follows certain compositional rules that will make it better than just a photo that you just snapped quickly. And then a lot of students, like the group I taught this fall, super tremendous group, so excited about all the unique things they got to experience, really excited to take advanced photo next year, which is a full year course. And that takes all that work that you did in photo 1 to the next level, having more concepts behind your work, ways of telling great stories with your images, sort of the next level, a lot of photojournalism and other things like that.
We have a returning or a former faculty member who was not with us for a little while, who has recently returned. She has, for her entire career, been a professional photographer. She has done professional commercial photography. She has done a lot of portrait photography. And so she knows the business in and out. And she knows her stuff. She knows everything. So kind of, I feel like with Miss Sinclair, anything you would want to know about photography, she would be eager, delighted, and excited to discuss and to help you learn.
Thanks to you both. I have a question regarding the musical and being able to sort of balance doing the musical and maybe if, a student who is a dancer doing the musical and being a dancer. And I think maybe if Julia, if you can sort of talk about how the musical works with students that are involved in other activities, kind of broadly, and then maybe Will, if you can sort of share your experience with balancing the musical with everything else that kind of goes on at Cushing.
So a number of years ago, I think originally somewhere in the mix, dance was not offered as an afternoon activity in the winter to sort of combine the musical and dance, so that students who did dance during the fall and the spring would now be encouraged to join the musical, which is often the case, and sometimes it's not. And sometimes we have students who are just in the musical, and we have dancers doing dance during the day. And sometimes when they're not in rehearsal with us, if they want to go and work on their own pieces, they can also use other sections of the school and the JRCAC and focus on that. So really there's no limit, I don't really feel. I mean, we have even athletes in our musical sort of double teaming. So I think there's a lot of occasions where we can double up on dance and our program. Shelley, feel free to add to that if you, and Will.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm one of those athletes that has done multiple things in one season. I was my freshman year, I played JV hockey and also was in the musical. So it's a lot of work to do, but it's absolutely 100% possible. And coaches and Miss Ohm and Mr. Hindle and everybody and Mrs. Salvucci, they're very good. They let you do, if you have a practice and you need to be at that practice, you go there. And there's a few rehearsals that you have to be there. And if it's a conflict, it's a conflict, and you do what you can, but you absolutely can do both. And it's very fun doing both. It's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding at the end.
Thanks to you both on that one. This is a good question. I'm wondering, Ty, if you might be able to speak to this a little bit, and then maybe everybody else could sort of chip in. There are a variety of clubs that seem to come out of the passions for the arts that seem to sprout up over the year that tend to be a little bit student driven. How do you guys, what clubs can you think of that maybe support the art programs or that you've seen that have kind of popped up based on interest over your years here?
Okay, so in terms of the clubs, there are actually original music club and also the old time rock club that happened before, and I think they're also continuing right now. So it's all, always based on interest. So whenever you have a passion about certain things, you start a club and you gather people around you. So it's that simple. And I think somebody asked like what type of art courses that I have taken and my friends. So I have participated in art portfolio and metalsmithing. They are both very fun. And in terms of metalsmithing, I have no idea what it was when I started, but in the end, it was such a fun class. I love Miss Gardner's skills and stuff. It's such a fun class. Although sometimes it's hard when you break the metals, but you gotta try. And in the art portfolios, although it is set up for the students who wants to create a portfolio for programs and such, when I'm here pursuing my passion about art and drawing, I sometimes figure that I don't want to put art as my major, but sure, art is gonna continue to be my lifelong passion. So I keep staying in the art portfolio, and Miss Ash welcomed me to be staying here as an afternoon activity, and I keep creating arts. And what's important about this art program is that everybody has the chance to show themselves. we have all kinds of arts our students created hanging in our galleries. And I have created art for our art magazines, and you can do that too. So that's, full of opportunities in our school and especially in the art studio.
Thank you, Ty. That's a great answer. And I think that's just for those that maybe don't know this, everybody at Cushing does an art every year. It's sort of it's a core principle of what we believe is part of your education and your growth at Cushing. So Ty shared the courses he's been involved with. Will and Matisse, can you guys, if you've done anything sort of else beyond what you've just mentioned, can you sort of share those experiences? And I think especially if you tried something new, I think that's a great point for artists. You maybe come in with a skill set and maybe it goes in another direction when you try something new here.
Well, as I mentioned, I have been a dancer since I was age 2, and I was lucky enough this winter to be able to try ceramics, and that's something that is completely new to me. And I'm just really lucky to be able to have the flexibility to be able to try something that I've never experienced before. And I love it, and I'm really so lucky to be able to be trying it out.
So prior to coming to Cushing, I had done a few plays, nothing major, and I decided to sign up for one of Miss Ohm's acting classes. And I have stayed in those acting classes all 4 years, and I have never looked back. They're the best part of my day every single day.
Miss Ohm, I assume that's worth like 3 or 4 bonus points. So you just check
Worth
that.
a lot of bonus points there, Will. Really good.
Ms. Ohm, can you talk a little bit maybe about, go on that a little bit about how the courses support the after school activities? I think that's a unique feature. You got to work with Will in classes and your students in the classes. And does that give you an insight into the different plays and musicals you choose year in and year out?
It does and it doesn't. I mean, I have students in the classes that often, choose something else in the afternoon. And then I have students that are usually in both. So sometimes it does influence it in a way. I mean, clearly it's much easier for us if they're involved in a class. They're already speaking our language, our vocabulary. I know when we look at the musical, Desh and I, we're not favoring students in chorus, but we know that they've already had some training in that regard. So it does certainly help our decisions. And we do look at that because the process is just, that much easier. We always have new kids all the time. It's absolutely essential. And we always take risks on sort of intuitive choices, which usually are fabulous, but it's a little mix of both, like a perfect stew, if you were.
Mr. Hindle, let's go in your direction a little bit. I've had a couple of questions come up about the music program. I know that I interview a lot of students that have a piano background. Could you talk a little bit about the private lesson opportunities for students at Cushing?
Sure, and I guess I should mention in particular regarding piano, we're an all Steinway school, so we have a lot of nice pianos for our pianists to use and a lot of nice practice rooms for students to use in general. But our private lessons program, lessons take place during the day. And in fact, I should mention that all of our ensembles meet during the day. And there's a reason for that. That's so all you multitaskers can be involved in multiple things, whether it be 2 different arts or athletics and music. And there's a lot of crossover there. So that's true with our lessons too. And we have about a dozen adjunct faculty who teach everything from voice, piano, and guitar to ukulele, double bass, and a lot of other interesting options. Some students start lessons who have never done anything musical before, other than listening to music, and they just want to try something new. And often for them, it's a kind of a meditative sort of activity, so they can do something different, use a different part of their brain and just relax a little bit. Others are really driven with specific performance goals. And for them, we have a series of both coffee houses, which are more casual performances, and more formal solo recitals. And a lot of students prepare to perform in those venues. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. You don't have to perform. You can just show up, learn from your teacher, enjoy doing something different that contrasts with the other things that you're spending your time doing during the academic day.
Wonderful, thank you. I had a question come through about the technical aspect of theater. So students that want to be involved in tech, how does that work into the plays and the musicals?
So we hire outside artists and contractors to come in and work and build our sets via carpentry and, you know, all of the essential things that one needs, supervision of power tools and all of that. We have students that have worked over the years with a lot of just terrible excitement, and they have learned the lighting board and different various techniques artistically. We cross over into visual arts a lot. We have borrowed a lot of their students for painting the sets and doing a lot of beautiful things for our backgrounds. So that is always an option, and it's always open, and we love our students to work with those artists that we hire that come in. It's also possible to work on the production side of things. So if you're not that interested in building and crafting and paper macheing, you can work on the stage management side and the production assistant side and sort of get experience in that area as well.
Wonderful, thank you. I'm going to send it to the faculty for this one a little bit. What kind of colleges or college degrees do you see that match up with your students that are focused on the arts at the next level? What are they pursuing? Where have they been going? And what kind of careers are they looking for in the recent years for your programs?
I could mention a few things here, Sarah. So we've had musicians go on to Berkeley, which is not that far from us. We've had some drummers and guitar players take that route. But we've also had some students go to liberal arts schools and end up majoring in music in an instrument. We have sent some students to NYU. And for example, we had a student who did some independent studies in composition, sort of like I mentioned before, and ended up going through a film scoring program. So there's quite a wide variety. Some end up majoring in something other than music in a liberal arts college, but are very active in the ensembles at that school. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. And we try to counsel students as they become juniors and they're starting to think about what they want to do if they want to continue with the performing arts in college, and explain sort of what the different options are and help them prepare for auditions if they choose to take that route.
Wonderful. What about on the visual arts side?
Same sort of situation. We have students who are applying at very sort of strict art and design schools, Carnegie Mellon, Pratt, Parsons, that are very focused and have a plan on either industrial design or architecture design or graphic design. We have a big surge recently with game design, which is just an incredible major. And I'm learning every day about it actually from my students, which is really quite something. There are incredible game design majors at NYU, at Cornell, at Northeastern. And students are very focused on that as a major, but are often dipping their toe in other things like marketing. We have students who are more traditional painters who are looking to go to SCAD, but are hoping to combine some art history and to take some business classes because they would love to open a gallery, or they would love to be an art historian, or a curator of some sort. We have students who are interested in museum studies as well. And most of these interests can be met at a very traditional art school or at a larger liberal arts school, which have incredible art departments. BU in particular is absolutely outstanding. Cornell is another one that's amazing. It's all over the map. Got a lot of really interesting explorations going on out there.
Fantastic, thank you. I would love to just, the next question, send this back to Will. Can you talk a little bit about what the audition process is like for the theater program? And then talk a little bit about how rehearsals are from a student perspective?
Yeah, the audition process, don't worry, it's not scary, it's not stressful, it's very relaxed. Miss Ohm is not scary. You go into a room with her and it's either you do a monologue and you're warned in ahead of time, you can find a monologue. It doesn't have to be memorized, or we do scenes from the play that we will be doing. And that's pretty much it for the audition process. The rehearsals are the best. I mean, they're so much fun. You learn so much because it's just, you learn from everybody you're acting with and from Miss Ohm, and we get a lot done. Like I find myself exhausted at the end of the day after rehearsals because we're working hard, because we put on very good productions, and it's just, it in the rehearsal process is just so much fun. In every single play you are in, musical, anything, it becomes a mini family, and it's just, you look forward to getting to afternoon activities every single day.
Thank you. Ms. Ohm, do you want to maybe just as an overview, or we can even send this to Ms. Salvucci if it's easier, talk a little bit about the differences in auditions for the play versus the musical, because I know there's more components to that piece of it.
So I just want to clarify that Will is not saying I'm a tyrant. I'm just kidding. We do work the kids really hard. Well, it's basically the theater auditions are usually me and whoever's working with me in an assistant capacity. And for the musical, it's the entire team. So it's Mr. Hindle, Ms. Salvucci, and myself. They're still closed auditions. We don't let everyone watch. I find that that's very, very nerve-wracking, and it's very distracting, and it's hard to do your best, when everyone you're sort of competing against is sitting there and staring at you, and so they're private, and we try to be very gentle. We've had a lot of stories over the years. People react very differently with this process, but usually it goes quite well. Shell, feel free to add to that.
I thought for sure Will was going to throw me under the bus there. So, I love the audition process because it's my first chance to get with these kids and really see like what they can do. So a typical process is we have them fill out their form. We talk about their background and what they're interested in doing in the production. So we want to know what their goals are as we move forward. And then we'll come in, we'll have them sing a little snippet of a tune that they've prepared ahead of time. They can sing a cappella, or they can sing with a background track. Occasionally we have a pianist who's able to play for them or with them. Often Mr. Hindle will then do a vocal range check, especially if it's a student that he's not worked with prior. And then comes the moment where they get very nervous, because then it's me. But we shake out our yayas first. We do a little warm up. Usually we use some old school Broadway or musical track. My favorite is Hot Lunch Jam from Fame, and just sort of shake off our nerves, get our muscles all warmed. And then I teach them a combination, anywhere from 16 to 64 counts worth of something that's actually probably going to end up in the show. And we learn it all together, and we practice, and then we break into small groups so that I can actually watch them and see what they're able to do. And it's, looking at what their background is, what their raw capabilities are, but also how quickly can you learn this material, because that helps to inform how I'm going to choreograph for these folks as we move forward, because it's quite a swift process. We audition right before Thanksgiving, and the show goes up in mid-February. So we've got a lot of vacation in there. So we have to work really diligently and really hard. And I want to know how quickly we can move. Both metaphorically and actually, how quickly can we move? So it's a lot of fun. And I feel like dance day, when we have a dance day, it's a little bit of a party sometimes, and we do a lot of amazing work. They always astonish me. there's always this moment where I go, wow, I wasn't sure we were going to pull like this level of creation off, but they always do. And they are just miraculous human beings. So we look forward to you being miraculous human beings with us.
Wonderful, excellent. We talked a little bit about some of the text work that you can do in the theater and that kind of a thing. I'm wondering if either from dance or from the visual arts, if you can talk a little bit. I got a good question about sort of the business of being an artist. Do students have any opportunity to work on curating museum spaces or organizing performances? How do students get involved in sort of that side of things beyond the work they've done with the theater?
I can start to answer a little bit of that. I think one of the important things that has been a tradition of the Faculty of the Visual Arts is that it has been kind of a requirement that you are not, that you are also a working artist, meaning that you are in the business of art making and art selling. So all of us in the art department have our own businesses. We show in galleries, we sell our work, and we make a point of sharing some of that process with the kids. Some are more interested than others, but those there are will really open up about what we're doing, what we're making, how we think about it. We have a gallery space in the visual arts building. Because of COVID, it hasn't been used as much as it has in past years. And while we don't have students that actually curate a show, I can't say we'd be against it, but we just haven't done that. Whenever there is a show, we heavily involve students who are interested in how do you hang a show? You know, what do you look for? How do you decide what's going next to what? How do you allow for traffic space? We've had shows in the past from outside artists who are there with all of their work for sale. You know, how do you let the guests know what's for sale and what the price is without it being Kmart, you know, a lot of things along that line that we've tried really hard to do, just not in the last couple of years, excuse me. And I guess that's about the end of that answer. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but yeah, that's good.
Can I jump in for a sec there, Sarah? One of the things that I would love to point out is that there's this business aspect, but there's also the community aspect to being an artist. And I'm really proud. I'm on the cultural council this year for the first time with Deb and also with Rebecca. And so I think it speaks volumes that, you know, like half of the committee, actually more than half of that committee for our little town is comprised of current or former Cushing teachers, and that we want not just to support our own efforts, but that we want to bring that to our larger community in Ashburnham. So I think that's something our school can be really proud of as well.
Excellent. Agreed. This is the question I'm going to add a little lead into this. Janine, towards you. I had a question if you could talk a little bit more about the architectural class, and I'm wondering if you could also talk a little bit more about just the collaboration with the STEAM programming all overall. Shell, I know that's something you could also jump in on. Well, you all could, but.
Absolutely. So in terms of the architecture class, it's a year-long course, and we dabble a lot with really design thinking and cleverness and those kind of problem-solving challenges that many students would get when they first go to architecture school in college. I really try to start off with a lot of that conceptual idea of solving problems with very little. We work a lot with building models and doing very sculptural architectural types of things. Students learn about how to design a variety of different things. Right now they're working on creating a specific structure, home, bookstore or whatever that is in a very specific location, then they really need to engage in answering all the questions that one would have to ask and then solve if they were designing a bookstore in Copenhagen. What kind of things would you have to deal with? What kind of codes were there? What materials would you have available for you? What would be the appropriate atmosphere environment? So there's a whole big picture that they really engage in. And we do spend time using digital techniques to learn about, but it's very, very important to me and for a good portion of the architecture world out there that you really know how to build with your hands and construct with a variety of different materials, even before you're on your iPad with your stylus. There was another question that you wanted, that I was supposed to be responding to.
Just kind of I was sort of maybe run a little bit with, because I think the architecture class is a great example of sort of the STEAM focus in the curriculum at Cushing. And I know that you've done some work on that sort of background planning from a faculty perspective. So I'm wondering if you just want to sort of mention that program a little bit.
Absolutely. I work very closely with the sort of STEAM commander, if you will, who's in the science department. And we absolutely come and approach that with the fact that we're not really all that separate. A lot of the things that we're doing in the art department are absolutely science and humanities and all the things. In art history right now, we are so immersed in technology and the innovation that happened. So we're trying to basically highlight the fact that while we are in separate departments, basically we are doing all of those things all the time. We have special events on the weekends, on our weekend programming, which we have a few times a year. Some are involving design challenges. This fall, we crafted an experience where we were very focused on recycling in our community and the volume of materials. And we had students create using a design challenge from all the cardboard from just 1 week, but really needed to be clever with their engineering and their construction. So that is absolutely something that we continue to explore. We use a lot of 3D printing and things like that, trying to really pull in all the parts of what STEAM is. And humanities is 100% in there. We're still working on figuring out what that would sound like. STEAM.
The initials may need some work, but I like the direction you're going with it for sure. We're gonna wrap up here in a few minutes. So if anybody has any last question or two, Ms. Ohm, I think you mentioned a little bit about the visual artists working on the backgrounds. Do you have students that get involved with costuming and that kind of thing and makeup as well?
So yes, actually, our set designer for this particular musical is a student, Talia Trigg, who came to me just a few years ago and just kind of wandered into the theater. I mean, I would say that 50% of my fabulous students are visual artists, and they stay, and sometimes they work both, visual arts and the theater. And she really had a knack for costuming. That was really where she kind of veered off toward. And I noticed in the way that she was putting things together, and I said, why don't you handle costumes for this show? And then it sort of just kind of blossomed. And this year I said, I think you can design the set. She's come up with some fantastic renderings for what we're about to do. And so it's really just where their penchant lies in that. I have tried every show to use a student artist to design the brochure, the program, the poster. It's a great thing to put on their resume, and we slap it on t-shirts and they can say that, they designed that work, and it's fantastic. And so, and they're framed all around the chapel, and they're really, really gorgeous. So we really do try to combine, every part of the visual arts that we can. And costume is very important. We hire an outside person to come in, actually affectionately Auntie Mimi, and she is a seamstress. She's worked professionally. She works for local theaters. And so that just helps us organize it when we have very big casts, very period costumes, but she's always working with students. So I hope that helps.
Perfect. Mr. Buggy, one last opportunity for you. Can you talk a little bit more about the opportunity with the dance programs?
Sure. So I have not spoken a lot because I'm brand new here, but I wanted to just share, one, I collaborate as much as I can with the rest of the department, but I have been very lucky or unlucky to have been an executive director of a dance company. I have done casting for movies. I have cast shows in Las Vegas. I've been on TV. So all of those things are things, and very much a rehearsal director. And so when I work with my students, it's not only about technique, it's about their performance, how to be on stage, and all of those things. And so moving forward, I'm looking forward to bringing some of my teachers from the Paul Taylor Company and setting pieces that are works that most people don't get to do. So I wanted to throw that in there. I know that Matisse is going to college and she's dancing there. And I have a number of students who are actually interested in NYU, Juilliard as well. And so I'm trying to help them with summer programs to get them prepared for that. But that's what I'm looking forward to in the next coming years.
It's wonderful. I really want to thank everybody for being with us tonight. I'm going to give the students just a little heads up. I'd like to close with each of them sort of talking about, why they came to Cushing, why Cushing was the right choice for them, is sort of the way we'll wrap up. I did see one quick question in the chat that I did not mention. Somebody asked about how does the dance class work into the schedule. Our schedule is designed for you to be able to take your art classes in your school day. So a 5 academic course plus a 6th and 7th block open and available for art classes. So it really is. I talk a lot in admissions about how Cushing is designed for everything to work together, be it a passion for the arts, athletics, and academics. The schedule really is designed to allow you to do it all, as we like to say. So without further ado, students on the panel, who would like to go first to say, why did you choose Cushing?
I guess Ty raises his hand. Go for it. All right. Well, both my siblings, actually my older siblings, went to Cushing and have now graduated. And I remember as a little middle schooler, I was walking around family weekends and different times when I'm on campus. And I just remember thinking this place is awesome. I mean, everybody's so friendly. The kids are nice to me. Like I would sit in a room with a bunch of kids and they would talk to me. And I was like 15 years old and it was weird. And it was great. And I remember going to my sister's musical. She was in the musicals all 4 years. And I remember watching on stage and I was just like, I'm going to be on that stage one day and it's going to be the best. And yeah, that's why I came to Cushing.
Well, it's very simple on my part too, because of the art. As a middle schooler, I'm all in the animation, in the cartoon stuff. And you want to be an artist. So I just want to see the art and the art magazines that Cushing presented. I just suddenly feels that the energy they present to me, and it just came to me as a right choice. I built my skills and I created art for our magazines. Although I'm not deciding to pursue art as my major, but I still knows that if I do, I'm gonna be a great artist. And my friends got into Parsons and all those great opportunities. It's just limitless, And so yeah, it proves to me it is the right choice.
Wonderful. Matisse, take us home.
Yes. So for me, anytime someone asks why I chose Cushing, I always say it's because of the community. I'm from California, a long way away, but the first time I got here for revisit day, I realized everyone is so nice and they're so welcoming. And Cushing has just really been a place for me to grow and a really safe place to explore new things and try whatever I want. And it's become a second home to me and I'm really happy to be here.
Well, that is a wonderful sentiment to add to end on here. I'd just like to thank again our attendees for joining us tonight, getting a more in-depth look at our arts program. We're going to post these recordings hopefully towards the end of next week, and we'll also do a follow-up email providing contact information for all the faculty on the panel. So if you have specific questions about the programs that they offer, they would love nothing more than to be able to tell you more about their programs and answer your questions. But to that end, I know our students are headed off to a wonderful evening of study hall, and our faculty are preparing for yet another wonderful day in the arts. So have a great Wednesday evening, everybody, and we look forward to seeing you back at Cushing.